Hello, everybody. So in the last recording, we have done some of the important functions. So let us continue with many more important functions. So I'm sharing the screen with you. So as you can see over here that while we were working on the some of the important business questions, there are two important business questions which we have added over here. In this, we have to find out the employee details lookup. That means, let's say we have one particular ID of any employee. So we want to say, find out that what is the first name, last name, gender, department, salary of that particular employee. So that is called as the lookup value for the employee, right? So that can be done with the help of VLOOKUP, with the help of index and match. And there's one more function which is XLOOKUP, which is like an advanced version of the VLOOKUP. So here we are going to have this employee ID, right? And this employee ID belongs to a particular employee. Now we have to find that what is the first name, last name, department, salary of that employee. So that we'll be doing with the VLOOKUP, and then the same data we will get with the help of XLOOKUP. So now we will just see that what is the difference between VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. So let's start with VLOOKUP first. So in VLOOKUP, we first of all, we basically use the lookup value. That means the lookup value over here is the employee ID, right? And what is the table array? The table array is the staff. And then we have to find out that what is the index, what is the column index number, which we want to find out. So we have already put a column index number 2 for the first name. So we will put 2 over here. And then it's going to ask that whether we want an approximate match or an exact match. So we want an exact match because approximate will give you a wrong answer, right? So we will just put an enter over here. And this is C4 is this data, right? And staff is the name of the array. 2 is this. And there is some error that's coming up over here. So we just have to look at the basically the we have to look at basically the this employee ID, which may be wrong. So we have to put an correct employee ID over here. So let's put an employee ID, right? So this is the employee ID. Now, suppose in case if we have like the way we were getting an error before, this is because that there was no employee ID as such. So for this, we have to use a if error function. But because suppose if anybody is putting an employee ID which do not exist, then what happens? It should give something in return that that particular value does not exist, right? So for that, we have to use a if error function. And in this, we have to write down that what should be the output in case if that particular value is not found. So instead of giving us an error, it should give us actually not found, right? So we have an if error, and in this it is that is it is telling us that we look up the function is basically telling us the output, and if error is telling that in case if that value is not found, then you should write that it is not found in that case, right? So if error basically is used with a with VLOOKUP. So whatever the output we are getting from the VLOOKUP, then we are giving that output to the if error. And in case if the value is not found, if there is any error, then the not found will be given as an output, right? So here we are getting a error. So okay, so let us first write down VLOOKUP over here. So we will just write VLOOKUP, and then we have to find the lookup table. This is the lookup table that we are having, right? The table array we are having is the staff, right? Then the column index number is 2 that we point, and we will have to find the false, which is the exact match, right? So this is actually your output over here. Now in this, we have to use a if error. That means if error is coming up in case if we do not get a VLOOKUP, so we will get an if error. So for this, what we have to do, we have to use a not found, right? So we will use not found in case if an if error occurs and if the value is not returned, so a not found will be used in that case, right? So here, because the value is there, so not found is not coming, right? Similarly, for this, we are going to write VLOOKUP, right? So VLOOKUP will be used for this, and the lookup value will be the same over here, right? So what we can do over here is that we can just like put what do you say? We can put absolute referencing over here, and then what we can do is that we can just take these values further, and the values will remain the same, right? So that is also what we can do is that we can just drag it down and the values will come as it is, right? So there we just have to get the three value over here, right? The only thing that we need to change. So this is the last name that is coming, and for the department, we have to do five over here. The rest of the function will remain the same, which is business development. And for this salary, we have to do six over here, right? Because it is having an index number six, right? So this is the first name, last name, and department and salary. So we have done this with the help of the VLOOKUP function, right? So now let's say we have to find out the same thing with the XLOOKUP. So what we did was VLOOKUP was that first of all, the advantage of using the disadvantage of using VLOOKUP is that VLOOKUP is only used for your first column. So we cannot use it for the further columns. Only for the first column VLOOKUP is used. And there, first of all, in XLOOKUP, we can use it for any number of columns and to find out any number of columns, right? And it can be the lookup value can be any column in that case, right? And in this we have to give that whether it's an approximate match or whether it's an exact match, whereas in XLOOKUP we don't have to give true or false because it's always the exact match in a XLOOKUP. So we are just going to put XLOOKUP over here, right? So here is the lookup value, so we will just put the lookup value as $C $4. So this is the lookup value that we are putting. So this lookup array belongs to staff and it is your employee ID, right? It is part of your employee ID. So the array in which you want to return your answer is going to be staff and it is going to be your first name, right? And then you have to basically if that particular value is not found, so you don't have to use the if error function after VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP. So you simply put over here not found. So if that value is not found, you will simply get not found like this. Okay. So similarly, we have got this. We are just going to put it for the next cell over here, right? We will drag it and we will just change uh, the column name over here for the first, instead of the first name here, we are going to put the last name, right? Other values will be just remaining the same. And here for the first name, we are going to put the department over here, right? The rest is going to be just the same, right? So it is going to give us the department. And here for this, we are going to put salary, right? So here we are going to get the salary of the by using XLOOKUP, right? So what we can do is, let's say, take an example. If we are putting 7 over here, right, instead of 5. So since in VLOOKUP, we have used a if error function, and if the value is not found, if there's an error, then it is going to give not found. So if error was used with VLOOKUP, whereas we can say with XLOOKUP, there was no if error function that was used before that, because in XLOOKUP only we basically used a not found, right? So that is the advantage of using a XLOOKUP over a VLOOKUP, because first of all, we can we can have not found and there is no need to write true and false as we write with VLOOKUP, right? So this was the answer that we're getting. Now what we're going to do is that we have to use an index and a match, right? Index and a match. So there we have to use an index. So this is also used for finding out the value. So index, that means we have to find the array or the reference which we need to find out. So here we have to find it out for the employee. So in this we are going to write staff and we are going to write the employee ID because we have to find the employee ID over here. Then we have to match this employee ID with a value, right? This value is going to be this value, which is going to be your dollar, because we are going to give an absolute referencing to it, $C, $70, right? And then the lookup array, that means it belongs to staff and it is your last name. So that will be your last name over here, right? And your match type will be 0, an exact match over here, right? So we have a problem with the parenthesis. We'll just see what's missing over here, right? So we will just do an exact match over here and then we are just going to close this over here, right? And after this, we are going to close for the index as well, right? So here we are going to give an employee ID exactly. Similarly, we are going to drag it down, and for the department, we simply have to put the department over here, and the rest of the thing is going to remain the same, right? So here we have got the department, and for the salary, we are basically in the array, we want a salary, and the rest of the thing is going to remain the same, right? So this is your index and your match. So even if the error is there, we have to use a if error function over here, right? So similarly for this, we will use a if error function, because in case if there is an error, then it is going to give you an error that the value is not found. So there you will write not found, right? So if error function is also used with your index and your your match, right? So similarly, we are going to use the if error function, and here we are going to write not found. Because since the ID is over there, so that is why it is not giving you an error. But suppose if you're going to put any ID which is not there, then it is definitely going to give you not found as in the output instead of giving you an error, because you have specified that in case if you do not found the value, simply give not found, right? So here we are just going to use the X lookup, right? So X lookup, here we have the lookup value. The lookup value is going to be your the value over here, which is your staff and your employee ID, right? And your then it is going to ask you about the lookup array. So it is going to be this, your C70, and then it is going to be asking you the return array. That means what is going to be the return array? Okay. So here the lookup value, okay, the lookup value is going to be this. Then it is going to ask you for lookup array. So lookup array is going to be your last name over here, right? And then your return array is going to be your employee ID, right? And then it is going to ask you that you, in case if that particular thing or that particular this employee ID is not found, then you can simply put it over here in this way. So similarly, we are just going to put the value, and since the value over here is changing, that is why it is giving a value like this. So we'll put 17 over here. And in this, we are going to put a department, because we have to put a department over here, right? And for this, we are again going to put 17, because we have not used absolute referencing. So that is why the value of the cell is changing. So here we are going to put salary. So this salary, and here we have got this output. So here we have used a VLOOKUP function. Here we have used the XLOOKUP function. Here we have used index and match function. And here also we have used a XLOOKUP function. Now suppose with the XLOOKUP function, suppose if we want to find out the entire row by looking at a particular value. So that can also be done. So we will just have to look at this lookup value. Then this lookup array, it belongs to your staff and your last name. Then we have to specify that what we want our output to be, and simply we can just right click on it. So here what we get is we get all the output in the form of a horizontal, right? This is your entire row. Now suppose if we want this output to be vertical, what we have to do is we have to simply use a transpose function over here. And if we use a transpose function, what we'll get the output vertically instead of horizontal. So this what your output looks like when we use a transpose function, and here your output becomes vertical instead of horizontal. So we can have also used the importance of the transpose function, which basically change your rows into columns. So I hope that all these functions are clear to you, that where we have to use COUNTIF and SUMIF in order to find the total salary in the head count. Filter is used to filter the value based upon the condition, and filter and star is used in case if we have two conditions over here, and min, max, large is used to find the top 5 values. Sort plus take is also used to find the top 5 salaries. Unique is used to find the unique values for the department. Count is used to count the number of values or count the number of department, and hash is used because if we know the department will may or increasing. VLOOKUP is again used to find the values which is related to the lookup value. Index plus match is also used for finding out the value according to the value that we need to find out and whether it matches with the value that is given. XLOOKUP is actually the advanced version of the VLOOKUP. And with XLOOKUP, we don't have to use if error because by default we can give not found as a parameter in a XLOOKUP, whereas with VLOOKUP we have to use a FLOOKUP function, if error function, because if we don't give an if error function and if any value do not occurs, suppose if we are going to write any value over here which is not occurring, then we will get a not found because we have used a if error function over here and we have used a XLOOKUP function over here where we give not found, right? And that is why it is very important to put that value over here, right? So in case if we give that, if we give like for this, we don't have to use. So we can just put the tuxwell, which is the value that we got, right? So here is for the tuxwell, we are getting the output because tuxwell is a last name, which is there in our data set, as you can see over here. So by default, it always gives you the first value. Even if you have two last name, it will always give you the first row that it encounters. So I hope all these functions are clear to you. Thank you.